where we are as a country.
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASU strike.
You have done your work, you have put us to the wall. We are not your slaves. I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report. I have not seen the report.
Hey, so great to have you join us here this morning on Global Morning. We're live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I'm Uyag Mofwegbe. Incidentally, Queen Agaba, my colleague, is not on the show this morning, but in the days ahead, you'll see her here as we co-host this breakfast show. A lot has happened in the country in the last couple of days. I mean, several big stories, and some of them very disturbing developments, others eye-openers for governments and for citizens. But in all, these are developments that are now shaping, in some cases, maybe reshaping several critical aspects of our national life. One of such stories, I mean, particularly the one that came through yesterday, is how that the president, our own president, Bola Tinubu, has now slashed travel size, for want of better words. The president is not practically saying that for foreign trips, he can't have more than 20 persons fly with him or travel with him. Okay, so that's already a threshold. And then for the vice president and the first lady is a maximum of 5 persons each. And then for local trips, however, the president can travel with as many as 25 persons. For the vice president and the first lady, as many as a cap of 10 persons each. This it's believed to be one of the efforts being made by this government under the leadership of Tinubu to cut down costs of governance. How far-reaching or otherwise this is a different kettle of fish altogether. But then they say little drops of water make an ocean. So let's see how many more critical steps the government will take in this direction. I mean, all in a bid to cut down costs of governance, and then we'll see how that turns out in the months and years ahead. We had also seen similar moves in the past governments, particularly when we had former President Muhammadu Buhari at the helms. We had seen even instances where some legislators had said, well, I'm forfeiting 50% of my salary. That became a talking point because there's the argument that what legislators in Nigeria, whether it's at the federal or state level, take home is not so much about their basic salary as it is so much about their allowances. So some persons will vehemently argue that even if legislators have to forfeit the entire basic salary, it doesn't, it's more like a pinch of salt for them, because ultimately what they are more concerned about is the potpourri of allowances that they do get. But like I said, we keep our fingers crossed and see how much of progress we'll make in this direction. And then, of course, we understand that the FCC has not only invited former, or as it is now suspended, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Dr. Betta Edu, following her suspension by the president. Of course, after that, we understand that her pass to the villa, that's the presidential villa, had also been withdrawn. Therefore, the consequence was that she couldn't see President Bola Tinubu on Monday when she had visited the villa. In the middle of all this, the FCC, we are told, had been the agency of government that recommended her suspension, and just an hour thereabouts after she had been suspended by the president, got invited by the anti-graft agency for questioning. As of yesterday, we understand that the FCC has spoken with 3 chief executive officers of 3 banks in this country. Is a big conversation up ahead for us this morning. We want to look at the trajectory we have seen in this ministry that was created under the leadership of former President Muhammadu Buhari. It's one controversy after another. The 2 ministers who have been there now, first we had Sadiya Umar Farouk, who was there between August of 2019 and of course May 28, 2023. All right, how that she was embroiled in all kinds of scandal. And today, it is another minister who had barely done 5 months when this whole can of worms had its lid blown open. All right, who is now neck deep, all right, in corruption allegations. The very prominent one amongst them being that she had paid some 585 million naira into private accounts. The minister, who is now on suspension by the president, has continually denied any wrongdoing. But we wait to see again how this pans out. It's one crucial litmus test for the EFCC on the one hand and in very particular sense. But for the broader perspective, it is another test for the anti-graft war that Nigeria started basically in 2004 following the introduction, or if you like, the establishment of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and of course the ICPC. Okay, but there's this documentary now in public domain that chronicles the lives, if you like, the life and the times of late Prophet TB Joshua and his synagogue church of all nations. That's a documentary put together by the British Broadcasting Corporation, that is the BBC, has become a basis for banter and all sorts of exchange on social media, whether it's X, formerly Twitter, or Facebook, or Instagram. People are talking back and forth about it. But it's a reminder, very critically, of how religion, especially within the fold of Christianity, has come to the fore and become controversial and scandalous. I mean, for those who have seen the video, I haven't seen the entire length, but I've seen snippets of it. You would agree that it is in depth. You would agree that it covers several angles. In fact, it brings to the open several things, so many elements that some people never knew about the synagogue church of all nations in Nigeria, especially when the late prophet Temitope Joshua was the lead prophets of that church, that ministry. Or I bet it is quite a different kettle of fish, because the conversation has changed very radically. Right, the BBC has done this kind of documentary where you find people who say they had been something they apparently didn't understand so much about. All right, you have also seen those who have come out as who were enslaved, the regimented lifestyle in that camp, you know, was bizarre, was weird, and so on and so forth. They would talk about their routine on a day-to-day basis, and so on and so forth. In all, some people say this documentary now paints not just TB Joshua, who is now deceased, in bad light, but also leaves a very bad taste in the mouth of members of the public with regards to the ministry, Synagogue of All Nations itself. As of today, we understand his wife is the one overseeing the affairs of the church, but there have been a stack of questions. One of them being, how is it that the BBC had to wait this long to do this documentary? Could it not have been done while the man was alive? Was it not possible for these same people who are now featured as former disciples of TB Joshua to have come forward much earlier than this, most likely when the man was still alive? Others say, well, it's possible that the BBC or those behind this documentary had been taking their time to gather facts and be able to do a robust, persuasive reporting about all of this. As of today, I'm not so sure that there has been an official statement from the leadership of the church. But if you want to pick the elements, I mean, you want to sift through the elements in this reporting. You also want to take a look at first how Christianity has evolved over time. You want to look at even the controversies that had also, if you like, been associated, or that TB Joshua himself had been associated with while he was alive. How that the relationship between himself and so many other prominent clerics within the Christian fold was far from cordial. While you may say, well, that was not very much a factor, we had also seen people who had consistently raised concerns around the practices in that church, which some people would say were bizarre. But again, if you push it forward, I mean, down the line, and you take a look at this documentary, very dispassionate look at it, you're wondering, is it not possible that the authorities, that is the Nigerian authorities, whether it is the DSS or the police, is it not time they took a look at some of these allegations and then use it as grounds for very thorough all right, no holds barred kind of investigation and some sort of due diligence and so on and so forth. So these are very big discussions that we should be having as a country. But then, when we move away from that, recall that the conversation around degree mills within the sub-region of West Africa has been very rife in the last, 2 weeks, especially following the reports done by one Audu associated or affiliated with the Daily Nigerian newspaper, where he uncovered how degree mills have become very prominent across the West African sub-region, and himself was able to bag a degree within a 6-week period without having to travel out of Nigeria to Benin Republic, where the university that issued him that degree is situated or is located. And then, of course, more importantly, a very much more disturbing his ability to crack through the so-called firewalls of the National Youth Service Corps, that is the NYSC, that had again and again bragged that there's no way anybody can compromise the system. But now the NYSC is crying foul and saying, well, he compromised our system. He did commit serious infractions, which are largely unethical, and so on and so forth. But whatever that means, the point now is that the story has evolved. As of today, 107, we understand, private universities have now been listed, all right, to be probed, especially those that have been here in the last 15 years, those who came on stream in the last 15 years. Let's keep in mind that Nigeria as of today has 147 private universities. Those are the ones recognized by the NUC. So any other one not recognized by the NUC is non-existent. So NUC officially, I mean, if you go to their website as of today, it says we have 147 private universities in Nigeria. Out of those 147, 107 of them, which particularly started operations in the last 15 years, have now been shortlisted to be investigated very thoroughly. And some of the prominent private universities, across this country, even in Abuja here, make it into that list. We're going to use that as a basis to discuss tertiary education in Nigeria, how that government has knowingly or unknowingly been responsible for the damage that has been done to the fabric of the ivory tower in this country, which is the basis for many of the very disturbing developments now emerging across this country and even into the West African sub-region. Well, just to get tastes bud raging this morning, we understand that we have tastes and texture that will just give us some incentive to make quick decisions as to what we want to have for breakfast or for lunch. Who knows, maybe we can even whip up some dinner ideas from it.
Hello and welcome to Taste and Texture. On today's episode, we take you down the lane of the South-South, and Patimi Abba. Edika soup is another ethnic staple, famous and native to the Efik and Ibiabo people of Cross River and Akwa Ibom State. Edika soup is a highly nutritious delicacy and savory vegetable soup, natively prepared using oku, the native name for fluted pumpkin leaves, and Malabar spinach, locally called water leaf in Nigeria. Like most soups from this local coastal region, this dish comes with loaded and various seafood delicacies, periwinkles being a regular staple and obstacle. Nigeria's slang for the preponderance of assorted meats cuts Nigeria love to feature in their soups, elevating the soup to a nutritious adventure into the green coastal depths of Cross River culture. Now, the preparation. The ingredients needed are Malabar spinach, aka water leaf, pumpkin leaves, you may use ugu if you have that available, goat meat cut into large bit-sized cubes, cooked shell apple snails, smoked shrimps, palm oil, red onions, Scotch bonnet, peppers, ground smoked dried shrimps, aka crayfish, chicken bouillon, salt to taste, and now let's make it. Step 1. Slice both onions and Scotch bonnet peppers and set them aside. Then 2. On low-medium heat, in a large stock pot, braise the goat meat with one of the onions, Scotch bonnet peppers, 1 teaspoon bouillon, and 1 teaspoon salt for 30 minutes or until the meat is tender. Then, halfway into the braising the goat meat, add half cup of water and stir the meat to prevent it from burning. Keep the pot covered at all times during the braising process. Then, While using the meat braising, wash the Malabar spinach in a cool water to get rid of the salt and dirt. Pick off the tough stems and save the tender stems and leaves chopped and set aside. Then wash the pumpkin leaves in a cool water and get rid of sand and dirt. Pick off the top stems and in a deep pot, heat up the palm oil on medium heat. Be careful not to overheat the oil on high heat, and saute the other sliced onion for 10 minutes until it's starting to get caramelized. Add snails, smoked shrimps, and continue to saute for like 5 minutes. Add the braised goat meat and reserve the braised liquid for another recipe. It's a very flavory stock and be used for another dish. Then add 2 teaspoons of bouillon, crayfish, and add the chopped water leaves and pumpkin leaves. Stir and allow to stew uncovered on medium heat for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, taste the stew for seasoning and adjust the salt if necessary. Turn off the heat and allow the stew to sit for 5 minutes, then serve. And now, the health benefits. Edikaiko is a source of high energy and has been proven to improve bone health, prevent the aid in the treatment of anemia, maintain health of the nervous system, and maintain healthy skin. In addition, water leaf improves blood circulation, boosts immunity, and aids weight loss. Pumpkin leaves are very rich in antioxidants that help prevent cancer, boost blood circulation, and promote fertility. These leaves contain anti-diabetic agents that can regulate blood glucose level. That's all for now. Bye.
That was Fatima, and they're just giving us an idea what we should probably be considering for dinner. Maybe not just for today, for the days and weeks ahead. Thank you so much, Fatima, for putting that together for us on Global Morning today. Nigeria is said to be a country that is evolving on many fronts. The country has seen perhaps more than its fair share of challenges economically, politically, socially, even in the area of governance. But then Nigeria has been able to surmount many of these challenges. Today, on account of that, largely so, Nigerians are said to be the happiest people on earth. But then the conversation around whether Nigerians are able to hold government to account becomes a different ball game altogether. As some have said, because Nigerians are so happy and they are able to weather any kind of storm, those in public offices, whether they are elected or appointed, exploits this reality to its maximum, in fact, even get to abuse it for the most part. Now, the implication of that is they say that it will now continue to give impetus to impunity across board on all levels by way of holding their leaders or those who are in some position of authority with so much of influence accountable. Today, most Nigerians, I mean in millions, are not able to boast of 3 square meals. Some people say even for those who can eat 3 times, there's no guarantee that the meals are square. While we're still having that conversation, you have the level of illiteracy increasing by the day. And I mean, for perspectives, look at the number of out-of-school children. There was a time in this country in 2014, we heard that number stood at 11 million. That was almost a decade ago. Today, we're hearing different figures. Now, with all of these varying figures being bandied, we are not even sure what the number is. So that raises the concern around how we use and deploy data in this country, whether or not we are even having the conversation of how vital data is to national development. Of course, we have the National Bureau of Statistics, the NBS. Recently, just a few months ago, the inflation, the unemployment data that was released by the Bureau, it will become questioned to the point that the immediate past Director General, the former Statistician General of the country, Yomi Kale, even came to national television to also raise concerns about that data. So, for how long can we continue to have this kind of developments and still expect that Nigeria will be able to hold its head above water? Now, time to take a look at business and bring you some roundup with Kikelemo Okere.
Hello and welcome to Business Report on Global Morning. Globalcom Limited has denied that the report making rounds that it was owing MTN interconnect charges. Globalcom disclosed that the amount due for payment was 1.6 billion naira, and it has been paid without controversy, adding that a proper cross-checking of facts ought to have been done before concluding Globacom owes MTN. The Globacom official further stated that Glo was the first telecoms company that introduced pay-per-second form of billing, which cut the monopoly of other foreign companies operating in Nigeria. It could be recalled that the Nigerian Communication Commission (NCC) in a public notice revealed that it granted a partial disconnect of Globacom from MTN due to non-settlement of interconnect charges. In the notice, NCC disclosed that Globacom had 10 days starting from January 8 to pay the debt, or the disconnection will be implemented. The National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) says it plans to earn 328.9 million naira from fines and levies, despite a court order restraining the commission from imposing fines on broadcast stations. This target is contained in the 2024 government-owned entities budget proposal. The fines only make up about 3% of the commission target revenue for 2024, estimated to be 8.27 billion naira. The commission says it plans to generate 7.18 billion naira of its total revenue and gets 1.09 billion naira from the government. Its biggest source of revenue include license fee, which amount 4.93 billion naira, and license percentage of income, which results to 1.91 billion naira. Foreign investment outflow from Nigerian stock rose in November to highest level in nearly 3 years, despite reform that spurred a rally in the markets last year. A total of the amount stock offloaded by the foreign investors rose to 36.6 billion naira from 19.7 billion naira in October. According to data from the Nigerian Exchange Limited, foreign inflow increased to 34.8 billion naira from 13.62 billion naira. The outflow in November is the highest since February 2021, when stock worth 39.1 billion naira were sold by foreign investors. At Afrivest Limited says this is not void of the fear of a sudden depreciation of the naira before the end of the fourth quarter of last year, which could have reversed the impressive share price appreciation so far in the year, especially for investors who were still grappling with how to net off the losses already recorded on FX exposure. Kikelomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Thank you, Kike Lobo, for that business roundup right there. I mean, I saw the story about the interconnect charges or obligation yesterday between two very prominent telecoms operators in the country. But then, the whole time, what I had in my head was how the telecom sector has evolved very, very significantly in the last, 2+ decades. Remember, the rollout was in 2001, and then, of course, just one operator. A few months later, a second one joined them. By 2003, we had a third one, and then by 2007, we already had a fourth one, and it has become very competitive over time, with one of them even now being listed on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, that is the NGX. So it has been a great story. Of course, the challenges have been there, but then we have seen how that the telecom sector has been able to drive business integration across board, whether it is fintech, the traditional finance space, education, health, and so on and so forth. Now, today, Nigerians are having a conversation around whether data is cheap enough or whether it is affordable in some cases, whether it is too expensive or is luxurious or not. But we're even having that conversation because, in the first instance, we have providers, we have the infrastructure, we have that service. Otherwise, we probably won't be having that discussion right now. We've seen us move from GPRS to 2G to 3G to 4G. Today, the conversation is around 5G. I mean, you go around estates in this country, even in Abuja, for example, and you're seeing how that they tell you this estate is 5G connected and so on and so forth. So that shows how far we've come. So while telecoms service providers may have their own fight, which is normal in the world of business, but again, thank God we have a regulator in the midst of it. It is also important to see how much of progress we've recorded, to see how much of businesses have sprung up on account of this development we're now seeing. And we do hope that this progress we have recorded in telecoms will be extended to other critical areas, including education and health, and then several other spheres. Of course, the SME space not left out. But talking about education, today the focus across the world, I mean best practice, is on STEM, S-T-E-M, science, technology, engineering, and math. But in Nigeria, it doesn't seem to be much of a priority for us right now, because that is very, very, if you like, visible in the way we fund education, in the way we design our curriculum, and of course, in the way that we deliver our teaching, all right? So if we do not understand the role of science, technology, engineering, and math in 2024, it means we have even a bigger problem on our hands that we readily understand or can even admit. Why? At the turn of the 21st century, it is science and technology combined. And then, of course, you have maths in the middle of it, and let's not even forget engineering, that drives rapid development, rapid growth. Today, we're talking about India, for example. What does India do differently? What should we be learning from India? You're talking about Pakistan, you're talking about Brazil, you're talking about South Africa. All right, what are they doing differently with regards to tech? Well, see young people spring up hubs, some incubation centers across this country, including one of them, for instance, owned by the current Minister of Digital Economy and Communications, Dr. Bosun Tijani, and we see how much of work they've done in the last couple of years to change the narrative very fundamentally in the world of tech. Is government throwing its weight behind that? Does government believe in it? Is government persuaded that this is not just a money spinner, but a narrative changer going into the future? But of course, we can't sit here and have that conversation, because they say you put your money where your mouth is. All right, let's join Chung Aname now as she brings us an update on entertainment. Right after that, we are going to bring you the AM News.
Music executive Tunji Balogun, popularly known as Tables, has accused Davido of bullying his ex-wife Tiwa Savage. He claimed that the DMW boss threatened to send thugs after her, adding that it was not the first time he would be bullying the mother of his child. Tables via Instagram had queried what people would do if someone threatened to send boys to the mother of your son, and this is the third time he's bullied her. He noted how he has tried respectfully to reach out to Davido, and the response is always arrogant and nonchalant. Recall that Tables has been calling out Davido for allegedly disrespecting his family, threatening to teach him a lesson. His outburst came days after Davido and Tiwa Savage unfollowed each other on social media. Hollywood superstar Will Smith has pleasantly surprised Mamadou Safayu Bari, a Guinean man who cycled across Africa to reach university. Will Smith spoke on stage in a conversation during the Red Sea International Film Festival on December 2nd, 2023 in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Last year, Barry's remarkable 4,000 kilometers, 2,500 miles journey captured headlines, and in a video called to Cairo, where Barry is currently studying, Smith expressed being deeply moved by his effort. Smith generously gifted him a new bike and a laptop during the call. Smith learned about Barry's epic journey from a BBC Instagram post in September. In a short film uploaded to Smith's YouTube channel, Barry appeared astonished to be speaking with the Man in Black star. Smith publicity team reached out to the BBC after the story was published, stating that it had deeply touched the actor. They sought to find a way for Smith to speak to Barry. In May of the previous year, the 25-year-old Barry embarked on his journey from Guinea to Egypt, prestigious university, hoping to see admission. Unable to afford a flight, he cycled through Mali, Burkina Faso, Togo, Benin, Niger, and Chad over 4 months. Despite facing challenges such as being detained 3 times without cause, Barry's fortune changed when his story was shared online by a journalist in Chad. Good Samaritan subsequently funded a flight to Egypt for him. Upon reaching Cairo, he was offered a university place for Islamic studies and later engineering alongside with full scholarship. Chung Annabel Joseph reporting for Global TV News.